Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. It's an eclectic DIY show. My name is Eric, your host. Today I have my friend, what I call West Coast Eric from Root Simple, is on the program. For some reason, I thought of him the other day, and then I was like, "Hey, let's get on the podcast." So, welcome, sir.
Great to be here, Eric.
Yeah. It says the network is struggling. Have you moved your mouse away from the window?
Oh, shoot. No, let's see. Let me click on there. No, I'm still there.
All right, good. Oh, well, it is what it is. So on your Root Simple website, you posted that you got a 3D printer from one of the Buy Nothing groups, and I was curious about that because I am 3D printer interested.
Yeah, it's something I never thought I would need or want, but it just flipped through this Buy Nothing group, and I kind of waited for someone else to take it, and no one wanted it. And so finally I was like, okay, I'll go pick up this printer. And one of the things about an aside, I love these kind of buy nothing groups because sometimes you get to see a part of a big city that you don't normally go to. So that was kind of fun. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
remember late some Sunday night driving to this place where I never go and just seeing this whole neighborhood I didn't know about. And that was kind of cool. But yeah, in short, I picked up a low end 3D printer called I don't even know how to pronounce it, Creality Ender 3. It's very common.
Yeah, I've heard of
Like a
them.
lot of people have these things. Yeah, because I think it originally was like the cheap 3D printer, from like, I don't know, maybe even like 10 years ago now. It's not new. And I think it went for something like $150 or something early on.
But you've been able to make a couple of neat things that were useful.
Totally. This is what like I did not expect this. So, I have a wood shop, I make furniture, and there's a lot of like fixtures and things in the wood shop, like adapters for sanders to the vacuum, like little plates that go into the router table and things like this. They're kind of a pain to shop for and buy. And you can fabricate them, and that's been like kind of eye-opening to me. Like I even made the cap for my car's windshield wiper reservoir, which was missing.
Oh,
So
wow.
things like that. And down the road I like to make things, so I can imagine like cases for stuff and other things like that, sort of practical things. That's what I've been using it for.
I would like the 3D printer for doing letterpress printing.
So how would that work, Eric? I'm curious.
Well, kind of like a lino block. You carve your lino block, and what you want to be negative space, you carve that out, and then you have an
Oh,
image. You could do the same thing with a 3D printer. You load in a file you created in like Pixelmator or Photoshop. Even though I don't use Photoshop anymore, Pixelmator is really great, by the way, everyone. And or even one of the paint apps in your computer, and then you could print it out, and it'd be like a printing, like a I can't remember what this is called, but like with letterpress, the raised parts get inked, and the negative spaces don't get inked, and you run paper over it, and you can run it through one of those big rollers, or just use the back of a wooden spoon, and you've got this image. And I like the mashup of this printing method that goes back to the Gutenberg Bible, and yet you're using a 3D printer, which is this amazing digital device that has become almost pedestrian in our world, to make maybe some fun images.
that's a great idea. I'm taking notes. I want to try this now. I actually my local library has a maker space, and they have
Oh,
a laser cutter there.
oh,
And so I tried this very thing, actually, of making a printing block with the laser cutter. But I used the wrong wood. I used plywood or something. It totally didn't work.
yeah.
But I never thought of using the 3D printer for this. But now, yeah, of course, you certainly could do that.
I think it's better than the laser cutter because I took a one night introductory laser cutter class, and it seemed limited what you can do with it compared to the 3D printer.
Hmm.
Oh, now I want one. I have the Buy Nothing app on my phone, so while you're talking, I'm going to look.
You can wait for one to come by. Yeah, I mean, I should back up and say I would not buy this particular 3D printer. It's kind of kludgy. I mean, it works. Like if it's free, I'd take it.
Yeah.
But there are definitely better ones that you can get now that are like not much more than that. There's a lot of cheaper ones now.
My friend Gabe from the Save It for Parts YouTube channel has reviewed some 3D printers, and he is very honest about it, which I love. I'm wondering if
I love
Wirecutter.
that channel.
I'm sorry,
Yeah. No, I was just say I love that. Love that channel.
Gabe. He's just amazing. I mean, it's right now he's doing a deep dive into different satellite stuff, which I will never do, but I love watching him do it. You know.
Exactly. It's fun to watch someone else do it.
And I had a DJI drone, one of the original kind that are, white and kind of big. And then the FAA made them, well, it was difficult to fly them if you wanted to fly them. And I sent it to him, and he has a satellite dome on this property in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. And to show the dome, he flew my drone inside the dome so it wasn't violating any laws because it was essentially flying it indoors, which I thought was funny.
That's great.
And he had glued a camera onto it, so I loved it. But yeah, he's knows a lot about 3D printing. And Wirecutter, who's part of the New York Times, might also have some reviews. I'll have to look on that. I'm very curious about that. What was some of the hurdles with the 3D printer?
Getting the thing set up was a real pain. And I had to watch a lot of 3D printing videos on YouTube. I mean, that's the thing, of course, with any tools. If you get something cheap, it's generally hard to set up. But if it's expensive, it's ready out of the box. But it was definitely not ready out of the box. So I had to do a lot of fiddling with it. I paid for a class on fine woodworking. The magazine had a class specifically for woodworkers who are using 3D printers. And that introduced me to some free software like
Uh-huh.
Bamboo Studio,
I've
is
heard
what
of
I
that.
use for to control the printer. It's made for another 3D printer, but it works for this one. And there was a little bit of an intro to something called Autodesk Fusion, which is a 3D modeling program that I think engineers use for prototyping stuff.
Yeah.
It's a steep learning curve, but to make simple things, it works. And there's of course there's Thingiverse and other places where you can download other people's models and just print them out. That's where for instance, the cap for the water reservoir in the car came from. And then some of the stuff in the wood shop too came from people who have already modeled stuff, and you can just download and print up.
Yeah, my friend, well, I haven't seen him in probably 10 years, but Bree Pettis, he started Thingiverse. And
Oh, really?
he
Wow.
started one of the first 3D printer companies, and theirs was a modular unit that was kind of flat packed, and it was like plywood, and you could put it together, and it had the three axes and stuff. And what was the name of his company? I can't remember now. Anyway, it'll come to me as we're talking about something else. Well, I
Yeah,
love
this
that.
Creality thing feels like this too. It feels like someone else's, junior high project or something, but it does actually work.
MakerBot. It's the MakerBot was the name of the
Ah, the
3D printer.
MakerBot. Yes. Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
they made those around the corner from where I lived at that point. So,
Well,
on the theme of I was talking with Rick the other day about creating more friction in his digital life so he doesn't buy as many things. You on your list of things here. You mentioned control of digital life.
yeah, so I think the number of ways to approach that. One is yes, I found myself, I think like everyone else, doom scrolling on one's phone a little too much. And part of wrapping my head around that, is first the realization that it's not my fault that these services and such are addictive, and that's just it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But part of it has been kind of trying to wrap my head around the tools themselves so as not to be, I think maybe it was Thoreau or someone who said not to be a tool of the tool, so
Yep.
to speak, but to kind of like get under the hood of these things as much as possible. And it doesn't come easy to me because I'm sort of like an arts and humanities sort of guy, not a technical oriented person. But I still think it's good to kind of understand how these tools work and to use them in such a way that that they work for me. And one of the first things I took on was I had this note taking program that will go unnamed, but it got worse and worse and worse, and it was expensive. And I found out about this program called Obsidian,
Hmm.
which is essentially a note taking program. It's not actually open source, but it kind of feels open source in a way, in that it is infinitely configurable. And the file format that it uses, which is a simple markup text only file, is readable by any computer now, past, and future. And the program itself has a lot of like third party folks like contributing different applications for it. And in short, it's basically just text only editing thing. You have to learn a little bit of sort of like a simple code to create documents. It you know, like a lot of these things, the good thing about it is that it's infinitely configurable. The bad thing about it is that it's infinitely configurable in that there's like a learning curve at first in figuring out how to use it. But once you get to using it, the nice thing about it is that the notes that it produces will always be readable by any computer. They're not like some sort of proprietary file format that only the program uses, that
Right,
you
right.
you know then are stuck into some sort of subscription forever. So the program itself is free. I pay a little extra to sync it with my phone, although there's ways of doing that without paying for a subscription too. So that's nice. And I do all my writing in it, all my note taking. I have some volunteer work I do. I keep track of that in there. There are ways in which it will generate spreadsheets based on like your notes and how you can put a header in those notes, and then it will pop up in different ways in a spreadsheet. So there's even a way to sort of do the mind map thing where one note will be connected to another and you can see that as a big image. It's very cool.
Oh, nice. This will
Yeah,
solve
I
all
highly
my
recommend.
problems.
It will solve all your problems. Exactly.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, but I
This
mean, it's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I just like the fact that it's readable by other programs. All my video edits that I've done with Adobe Premiere since I ended my subscription to them, there is not that I know of another editing program that can open up that file and I can have that
Mhm.
edited timeline sitting in front of me. What's nice, I use Pixelmator Pro now, and it will open up Photoshop files, and it can separate out the different layers that were in the file. It can't sometimes always alter what you have done, but it's kind of, I like that things are kind of future proofed. Like I think a PDF file is probably future proofed.
Right, exactly. Is Pixinator open source?
No, but it's I think Apple bought it actually, but it's a
Oh,
one and
really?
done.
Oh.
At the moment, it's one and done.
Uh,
There's a free version, or you can buy it, and it has extra stuff. And I bought it just because I just wanted to own the piece of software. And if my iMac, I'm not going to upgrade my iMac anymore, and I'm just going to leave Pixelmator and DaVinci Pro version 20 on here. And I don't maybe hopefully I don't have to buy another Mac for a while. So
yeah, I went with Affinity. So when I left I was forced out of the Adobe universe a long time ago just because of the expense of it, and
Yeah.
then somehow someone turned me on to Affinity, but then Affinity got bought by someone, and now it's free. But I'm kind of confused because there's this like you're going to commit to these programs, and then at some later point they get bought or they go out of business, and then then you're kind of stuck, and you've learned this thing. It's been, in short, frustrating, I think, for those of us who rely on things like Adobe stuff like publishing or Photoshop or video editing software or sound editing software, that kind of thing. It gets confusing.
There is an open source Photoshop like product called GIMP, GIMP. And I've used it
Yeah,
once and I found it a little clunky, but it is open
yeah.
source and out there.
Same here. I tried to use it, and it would it worked, but it would crash on me. And there's always that thing of, oh God, I got to learn another program that's
Yeah.
totally different. And if you don't use it enough, there's this problem of like, oh, okay, I only use it every few months, and then I forget how to use it. So yeah, you know,
The 3D printer
yep.
world has a universal file, correct?
Yes, there's several different ones. This is all, again, this is not my, sort of like the
Yeah.
thing that I'm best at,
Yeah.
but
So I'm asking you anyway.
the yeah, exactly. The one that I know is called STL. Don't tell ask me what it stands for, and then you have to take that file, and then it needs to be sliced, and it needs to be put into a format that the 3D printer itself can understand.
Yeah.
So basically I'm using, either downloading something, right, or I'm creating something in Autodesk Fusion and then taking that into Bamboo Studio to slice it, and then it goes to the printer. You can use SketchUp. Fusion has some sort of mathematical things it does that smooths over like curves and things like that SketchUp doesn't do. I can't remember what that's called. Someone's yelling at the podcast now who knows this stuff in detail.
Yeah.
But Autodesk Fusion is pretty amazing, and it's free if you don't use it commercially. It just has this extremely steep learning curve that I'm
Yeah.
still kind of climbing.
Well, I'm inspired to look for a simple 3D printer. My nephew is a 3D printer genius, so I have a free technical support because I just sent him a bunch of money for his birthday. So,
Yeah, I ran across a bunch of people that are like experts at it, and I was kind of blown away by the quality of what they're doing, like multicolor stuff. This thing I have, it's pretty crude. It doesn't make objects that I would want to look at in the house or something like that. It really is just I'm using it just for very practical hidden stuff. And it's
yeah.
fine. It's good enough for that, right?
I like that you were able to make an adapter from your shop vac to a belt sander, and you didn't have to go on Amazon and measure it, or go to Home Depot and see if they had something. And the, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a first world thing to be able to have a 3D printer in your house that'll do that, but it is awfully convenient just to crank that kind of thing out.
Exactly. I mean, I would say it's definitely not something that everyone needs. And you certainly can, if there's a makerspace near you, like every once in a while when you need to do something like this, you can go there. But if you are making stuff, I was surprised at how useful it can be.
Hey, real quick, we all know that Eric has an Amazon store on Amazon. If you want to start your shopping there by going to our landing page, they call it storefront they call it, amazon.com/shop/gardenfork. Check out the tools I suggest, generators, winter must-have stuff. Also, anything you buy there, we get an affiliate link for, a finder's fee, plus also anything else you purchase that day on Amazon, starting from our page and going wherever in Amazon, we get a little finder's fee for that too. Helps pay the bills, super appreciate it. Make sure to shop local, go to your local hardware store, okay? But if you're going to Amazon, maybe try and use our link. That'd be great. Thanks. So on your website, you made a chair and then you didn't like the chair, but I thought it looked quite nice.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where sometimes photos of things look better than the object in person. And I still consider myself a beginning woodworker. I think maybe I'll be a beginning woodworker for the rest of my life, if just because it is kind of challenging. I mean, it really is. Like the material itself is, wood is unpredictable. It cups, it bows, it cracks, and it's always a challenge. And I have had a string of beginner's luck, including one of the first things I made, which was insane, was to try to make a dresser. And somehow the dresser came out,
Oh, wow.
even though, like, it's one of those things, as you know, as a contractor, I'm sure you'll look at some of the stuff you've done in the past and you can see the flaws in it that other people don't see. It's kind of
Yep.
like that. But I had the string of good luck, and then every once in a while, I've heard you make the thing that ends up as firewood, and I've been like very close to the firewood side of this. And a chair is a really, really difficult object to make for a number of reasons. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think there's this balance between whether it looks good and whether it's comfortable. And often things that are comfortable don't look good, and things that look good aren't comfortable. And there's this sort of dialogue between those two aspects of it. And I was pretty careful with this thing. I was just doing a reproduction too. So I was taking a photograph of an antique, drawing it out. In fact, well, I went through many different models because I was trying different chairs, and one after the other, like, they may have looked good, but then they didn't look good in the house,
Yeah.
or they were too big or something. And so I would do I'd kind of sketch it out and then do a exact 3D rendering of it in SketchUp. And then I made that, because it's a chair. When I've made chairs in the past, I've learned that you need to make a full scale model out of scrap wood to see if the
Right.
thing is sittable or not, comfortable or not. And so I did that. I must have made four full scale models of four chairs, and it would be like this. I'd make the model, I'd bring it up to the house, and then put it next to the table where it's going to go. And it was like, yeah, no, not definitely not going to work. The funniest one was a three-legged chair, which I quickly learned why there aren't more three-legged chairs in the world,
Yeah.
because they tip over. So that didn't work. Finally, I get to this more humble chair. I make it, I adjust it. I even made the back tilt so that you could adjust the tilt of the back. And then I made the actual one. And it has a woven seat, so like a rush seat that's woven. And I've did that once before in 2019, and it kind of like the result of it. But in the meantime, I've kind of forgotten how to do it. So I make this chair, I start weaving the seat weaving's not going well. If you get off at the beginning, it starts to the mistakes start to accumulate in the weaving. And so I must have like wove it, then unwove it, then wove it again 4 or 5 times. Finally, I finish it. I bring it up to the house. I sit in it, and it's horribly uncomfortable and way too low.
Oh,
And oh yes, I had fully stained it too. And Kelly, my wife, who went to art school and has a really good sense of color, she looks at it and she's like, "Yeah, no, not going to work." And I instantly was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. This is just not an interesting color. It doesn't match with the furniture." In short, the whole thing was a disaster. And I've discovered the more that I've done woodworking, like, it's always hard, and you always go through a phase of like, I'm an idiot and I have no idea what I'm doing in the process of making these things. And then what seems to get easier is being able to recover from the mistakes and fix things. And I managed to and it's sort of janky, but I managed to figure out a way to add on some wood to the bottom of the chair to make it higher. So, and you can't, a dark stain will hide many sins. So
Yeah.
you can't actually see very well that I added on to the bottom of the chair. So now the chair is sitting in the garage. It's been stained a dark stain. It's higher, and I'm weaving the seat again. And I'm in the middle of weaving the seat. I've learned with that to like just do a little bit a day because it just wears your hands down,
Yeah.
and it's not easy. And so I'm short. I'm trying to be a little more patient with that process and just take a little bit of more time to do that, and keeping my fingers crossed that I'm going to sit in it and it's going to work. But we'll see. To be determined.
Yeah, I've tried to glue chairs. The leg comes out and I put it back in, and just doing that, the chair doesn't sit properly anymore. And then I would like trim a little off the other legs, and I could never get the chair to be square again on the floor. So I don't do chairs.
Yeah, chairs are yeah. Yeah, I fixed a fair amount of chairs for people because my workshop's on the street and people drive by and they see that I have a workshop, so they drop chairs off sometimes. And I'm always surprised at how janky some commercial chairs are. Like
Yeah.
some of them are held together with screws and dowels and things like that, and they eventually start to separate apart. And yeah, so I've fixed a fair number of chairs, and it's been interesting to see how other chairs are made.
Yeah, our kitchen chairs are made with, it looked like it was built with a brad nailer, because the nails, which is like a nail gun, air compressor nail gun, and brad
Yeah.
nails aren't very big. But several of the chairs, I've had to pull the brad nail out of the joint because it starts to push itself back out, and you can cut your finger on the back of the chair.
Oh God.
But they're the chairs we have. So
Indeed. The chairs we have. That's the
ah.
title of the podcast.
Oh, real quick, I wanted to do a shout out to Garrison, who's a patron. He's one of the Patreon supporters, I guess it's called. He left a comment. I posted a picture of me donating blood, and he said, "Hey, I went and made my appointment for my first blood donation." So cheers for you, Garrison. Lord, I love that. It's kind of cool. So
Yeah,
that was a
good for you
tangent.
both. That's a good thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, not everyone can do it. It's just maybe your iron levels aren't right there, or you have other health issues. I know if you're like having treatment for different diseases and ailments, that they'll say thanks but no thanks, and I completely understand that. But yeah, most people can just go down, just drink a lot of water like 3 days before you do it. That's my big advice for that.
And you get a donut, right?
Yeah, well, they haven't had bagels there in a while, but they've had chocolate chip cookies, and then I feel that's my cheat day. I can eat as many chocolate chip cookies as I want because I just gave them a bunch of blood. So, yeah. Well, cool. So, rootsimple.com is Eric's site, and I like that there are no ads on the site. It's the text definition of a blog, and I really like it's your voice, and you post your frustrations and your successes there. So I love that.
Well, thank you, Eric.
Eric and I are gonna talk for the after show for the patrons. If you want to be a supporter, it's a cup of coffee a month. More information about that is below. If you do want to become a Patreon supporter, join on the Patreon website and not the app, because if you join in the app, Apple or I don't know about Android, but Apple takes 30% of it right off the top. So I just realized that recently. Anyway, we're going to talk about building a Blockbuster free library box, kind of like a free book box. This is a free videotape box that's going to be at the end of your driveway. So thanks, everyone. Go out and do cool stuff and make it a great day. Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media LLC in Brooklyn, New York. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.